All right, so we're all set. Can you start out by introducing yourself and tell us who you are, and then where you work and what do you do?
My name is Brenda Schrader Johnson. I'm a speech language therapist in a small school in Carlton, Minnesota. I'm the only speech therapist there, so I serve birth through graduating. My oldest kid is in 10th grade. My youngest is 2. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's a big range.
Huge range.
So that's what I do. Yeah.
All right, great. How long have you been in the field?
I have been in the field for 26 years.
Okay,
Yeah, quite a while.
great. Well, so how did you hear about the Language Therapy Advanced program?
I think it popped up on my computer, just things I'm looking for. And then some of your free stuff came through, like the tier 2 words and just some introduction. And then when you offered your course at a reduced rate, I signed up quickly.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like something I needed that was missing. I felt like I could do pieces of therapy, but I needed something that pulled it together and made me more effective. So
Great.
yeah.
So when you decided to sign up, what were some specific things that you were struggling with that led you to sign up for the program?
I think it was more, I felt like I was doing pieces and I just didn't feel like I was being as effective, and probably I was working harder.
Yeah.
I was like trying to pull all this stuff and try to get it all in, and I wanted something, it sounded like your course would give me some,
Great. I think your microphone cut out just a little bit there.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. There
Okay.
we go. That works. Okay. So you had said you felt like it pulled you thought it would pull everything together for you. And did you find that that's been the case now that you're in the program?
It's helping me right now. I am using it with 3 or 4 kids now, and focusing on some of that semantic worksheets where we pull apart words and then define them, and we're doing some absurdities. So I felt like I'd done all those things, but now pulling it into one focus is much better.
Yeah. Great. So what kinds of things have you done with those 3 or 4 students that you've tried some of the techniques with?
Yeah. The semantic worksheets, we've done quite a few of that. And then I found some of my students I needed to back up a little bit. And because I started that tier 2 and I was like, oh, these are too hard for some of them. So I needed to show them the process first. And even with some of my preschoolers, we're not doing the semantic mapping so much, but I'm starting to talk about same and different and how to put things together and kind of getting them ready.
Yeah.
Getting
them ready for that when they're older.
Yeah. So just, like even shapes and talking about what do we see and what are their features. So, and then I've been using the definition work, just that template, and trying to teach them to think about the group. What can we say about it? And when we go back and just look at the words we've done as a review, they can tell me things about it. The category's been the hard one. They tell me about what group does it belong to,
Right.
Yeah.
And that's usually one of them, of all the parts of a definition, that's usually one of the pieces that makes it a little more sophisticated. And so that part sometimes comes later. So I think sometimes it's okay if they don't get it right away, as long as you're priming them for when it is age appropriate. So
I love I have a first grader and has been attached to the word feast. So we were like, what's a feast again? Well, it's that big meal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he gets so excited and I go, I said, we're learning words that are big words so that you know how to learn words in class, and they seem to get excited about it.
Yeah.
They're really proud of themselves when they're kind of are catching on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting when they have those aha moments.
Yes.
You're like, finally. Yeah, some of those words, I think, maybe it's okay if they don't get them right away. Yeah. The point is the exposure, and
right.
So that by the time it is age appropriate, they're ready for it and they've heard it before. It's not totally foreign. So right. That's exciting to hear that you're seeing some of that. It's exactly what we want.
Yeah. The other thing I haven't started yet, but you had added that fourth module on the first one about questions. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like some of my kids where you ask the question and it's like, well, that really wasn't my question.
Right.
And so I haven't started it yet, but I'm excited to start talking about what's relevant. Was it relevant? Was it accurate? I can't remember the third one, but start teaching it more, I guess, with intention.
Yeah.
Might be the word. And so I have a few of those that I have in mind.
I think it's rare to see.
Yeah.
If you treat language disorders, it's like you can't get through a couple IEPs without seeing a goal for answering questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I have kids. I also have kids that can't syntactically express questions well.
Yeah. So, the syntax is huge.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that sometimes we treat answering questions by just asking them a lot of questions, and we're not really showing them how.
Yeah.
That's kind of the key, is that to show them how to answer the questions. We're not really giving them any more information. You're just having them practice the skill over and over, but not giving that feedback. So it outlines that in that module. So another question I had for you is, so what results have you seen when you have done the techniques from the program? You've mentioned some of them already, but what other results have you seen?
I think just being more thoughtful about words. And we're taking those words and then we'll take them and use them in sentences. And even if I'm modeling and things, they're starting to make more complex sentence, a little more, not just the simple sentences.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's starting to emerge just now, as we're using these more complex words.
Yeah. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
It's exciting when they can start adding on and not just say the same sentence over and over again. Like, I see the dog.
Right. And you're like, yeah. Or I have to say, okay, this sentence can't be about you.
Right.
And they're like, because it's always I. I said, then it's about the brother or sister, but at least it's someone else. The one, I have a very good special education teacher I work with. And so when we work together, she's working more on the writing and stuff, even though I have a little bit of writing. And so I can tell her, these are the words we're working on. And then she reinforces those words too. So it works really well that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great when we can pass it on to another teacher and reinforce it. And I think when we have a specific program and a protocol we're following, it's a lot easier to do that. It's a lot easier to communicate. So has she do you find that she's bought into using some of those techniques and that she's seen some results as well?
Yeah, she's a really veteran teacher, but she is a really good teacher. So she was probably using some of these anyway.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So after being in the program, would you recommend it to other SLPs that are treating school-age language?
I would, yes. Yeah. I hear it all the time. Or even I have supervised quite a few graduate students coming out. And I was just in module 1 when I had my last student. So I was trying to show her a few things. I said, I'm still learning this, but here are some things, because she found language to be so overwhelming. She's like, I'm just not sure about this language thing. And I said, I know, it's very big. It's just, covers so much. So I'm hoping, I have another student this fall that I'll have more to share with them, and other SLPs to take your course.
Great. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think for graduate students especially, or people just coming into the field, it is such an overwhelming area that it's like, we don't know where to start.
Yeah. I felt that way too.
Yeah. This way you can have some kind of a framework to start with. So what would you say to someone who was kind of on the fence as to whether or not they wanted to join the program? Hold on, your microphone is cutting out.
All right, let's begin.
There we go. Okay.
I was thinking about, I would talk about working smarter and not working, taking all this time and making all the cute things. I know they're cute.
Right.
It takes a lot of time.
It does. It does.
So if you can just take and have this framework, you can fit it into all those things you have. And I think just less planning time, more focus, better results. I mean, there's so many in our field and in the schools that are overwhelmed with how many kids we have. So if we can make a difference and get them out of our, on our caseloads, then I think that's a big, credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I definitely appreciate the comment about, there's a lot of things that are cute and they're fun.
Yeah.
But that's what we add after the framework.
Right.
You get the framework first, and then that stuff's important. We're working with kids. We want it to be interesting, but don't start there. Then add the techniques. Start with the techniques, and then add the extra bits of flair.
The extra little practice things that are fun. But yeah. I would say in our meetings with other speech therapists, I was going to bring it up that I've been taking this course to them and just give them a little taste of some things that you show, and then give them your reference. But see if they're interested.
Certainly appreciate that. Getting the word out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you'd want to add, just about the course and about your experience?
Well, I did have a couple questions, like where do you get the tier 2 words how do you determine it's a tier 2 word versus tier 3 or tier 1 is the common and easy.
Yeah. It's a really good question.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's not necessarily a clear cut, this is always a tier 2. And, so there's some times when I've looked at a list and some words are tier 2 on one and tier 3 on another. Okay. And I mean, you almost have to go back and ask yourself the question of, and that's why I sometimes say the questions are more important than categorizing whether or not it's tier 1, 2, or 3. But you ask yourself the questions of, does it occur frequently and is it difficult? And if you can answer yes to both questions, then it would be tier 2 and it would be important to work on. Sure. Because tier 1 is, it's frequent but not that difficult. And then tier 3, is it's not frequent but it's difficult.
Right.
So it's very context specific.
Yeah.
So really you almost have to layer those the questions on top of the framework as well. Okay. So what I do when I come up with my list is there's a bunch of different, and if you have, it's one of my free resources, which is called the 30-page vocabulary booster. I've got some references at the end, and I have some of the specific websites where I go to get them, but I've also gotten them from reading curriculums, specifically the Harcourt Storytown series. Isabel Beck is the main editor on that series, and she is the one. Her, Margaret McEwen, and Linda Kukin were the authors of Bringing Words to Life, which they're the ones that coined that 3-tiered framework. Okay. So I take some of the words from those units as well when I come up with my lists. And they are usually categorized by grade level. But the thing is that it's not necessarily like you can't work on the second grade words with third graders and vice versa. It's just
brought them down. Yeah.
General framework for what words are appropriate. But I mean, exposure is exposure. It's hard to have hierarchy with language because it's so fluid and so different for every kid. I mean, even though there are certain skills that are appropriate for certain ages. So yeah, that's where I go to. And if you look at that resource, then that has some of the websites. I think one of them it's called Hyde Park School District.
Okay.
The other one is called flowcabulary.com.
Okay.
That's also a really good site for some tier 2 words. So.
And I think I'm pretty sure I have that. I've copied that resource. I just need to look at the back then.
The difference between what I've done and the other ones is that I separated them out into nouns, verbs, and adjectives and grade level.
Yeah.
And because I think that when you're learning words, it's important to have all three and know that words can have multiple meanings. So that's why I separated it out. Yeah. And kind of to remind us, I think we focus too much on nouns. And it's like, what about all these other words?
All these other words.
And a lot of the robust words in the units are verbs and adjectives. So we need to know how to work with those words too. So.
Yeah, and I haven't started any verbs or adjectives yet. We started with nouns, but
yeah.
The other thing, I guess, comment-wise, is the fact that you talk about the cowbell.
Yeah.
Letting them know, why are we doing this? And I forget to do that. I've been trying a concerted effort these last few years to be more specific. Well, even little kids, we are working on.
Yeah.
This is how it will help you. And I'm trying to be more conscious of that, even with social skills. Why is this important? So I appreciated that. They need to know why.
Yeah.
What we're doing and
that's really. I usually do. It's at the beginning of the session and then at the end of the session.
Yep.
And even if it's something like we're in here because we're working on talking, so they know they're not just in there to get their sticker or whatever.
Yeah. So I've been much better at it. I'll get really good at it eventually. But it's working on that.
What do they say? 21 days to build a habit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I think the challenge is that when you do join a program like this, it simplifies it, but there's still a lot of habits that you're building. So it's okay if you don't get all of them at once. Right. It sounds like you've got a couple things that you've picked out that you're working on, and then you just cycle back through it and add more.
Right.
So.
Exactly. And I reread things, so it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to add that, or I forgot about that, and that is helpful that way too.
Redundancy is a good thing for us and for the kids. That's why we review.
So the chats that you've been doing on the Facebook page, even if I can't join right that day, just listening to them and going, okay, yes, I think I'm on the right track, or I didn't think about that. So those are helpful that way too.
Yeah. So you mentioned the live Q&A. So what parts of the program are your favorite features? Like, as far as we've got the modules, we've got the live Q&As, we've got the Facebook group. Can you comment on that?
Well, I enjoy just the lectures and the takeaways you do, because it always helps me. It's like, oh yeah, those are the good takeaways. It's kind of a summary. I am liking the examples that you've started putting on under Module 1. Just here's some therapy examples.
The virtual therapist?
Yeah, the virtual therapy examples.
Okay, yeah.
So I've been liking those. But I do enjoy the chat, just because you can hear other people's comments. It always is helpful to me to hear how other people are using the program, or what their experiences are. So good. Yeah,
there was a conversation the other day about the live Q&As, which, obviously Facebook Live is easily accessible. Yeah. Do you think that they would be more valuable if we added something like this platform that we're using now, where we've got a chat where you could actually talk?
I think if you can get some people together, I think real-time chats are pretty nice too. I've certainly taken classes this way too. So
yeah, usually it's, you start out with the simplest platform, and then see how it goes. And I think it's people seem to have a lot of takeaways from just just the Facebook Live, even though it's pretty simple, but we're always looking to see how we can get everybody engaged and chatting.
Exactly. Yep.
Make it really accessible.
I think that would be helpful, in the future.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time to answer some questions for me.
And thank you for the course.
You're welcome.